welcome to Planet NOLA, the podcast where I, Mary Jacobs, talk to people that I think are interesting or doing interesting things here in the city of New Orleans. Today, I have with me Mary-Devon Dupuy.
Hello.
Mary-Devon is a stand-up comedian primarily, but also a person of many hats like everybody in New Orleans. How would you like to self-identify on this podcast? As a comedian?
I guess so. I mean, that actually feels kind of like poserish because I barely do comedy anymore.
Well, you did for a very long time.
That's true.
And you're super prolific.
Thank you, yes.
I guess you still do shows. You just get to show up and do a full show now. You just don't have to mess around.
I know, I just don't do mics.
If you don't know comedy, like, mics make you feel like you're, like, doing the thing. Like, it's
right.
like this, like, it's like self-whipping.
Flagellation.
Yeah. Like, comedians are like,
it does
well,
make you
if I'm
funnier.
not suffering through these mics every night of the week, I'm not a comedian.
I was thinking about this. I know you're still doing the intro, so or is the intro over?
That is intro's over.
Okay,
We're
good.
talking now.
I was thinking about this because when you told me kind of like the base, like, you know, premise-ish of the podcast, I was like, oh, I have so much I want to say about like what I've learned. Because I used to be someone who was like, if you don't go up at mics and you just show up and do shows, I was such a little bitch about.
Oh my God.
Like, and I guess I think
that's common.
Yeah, it is.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's like, if you're not doing the mics, then it's like, are you even a comic?
Exactly. It's like, oh, you just show up when it's like convenient for you, or you think that, because there's this, it's not a total myth. Like, I'm rusty. Like, when I'm up there, I used to be like really polished, and I used to use mics to kind of write on stage and then figure out what was funny and what wasn't, and then kind of know what I was going to say at shows. And sometimes I would wiggle a little bit at shows, but I usually like had a set that I would stick to, and it was really uncommon for me to go kind of off. But now I use shows to just get up there and see what comes out of my mouth. And like sometimes I have things that have become kind of a new, because after I had a baby, I was like, I'm not going to do, it was like pandemic, didn't do comedy. And then during the pandemic, baby happened. Mm-hmm. And by the time I started doing comedy again, I was like, I'm not going to do my old jokes.
It's so weird. This is kind of the similar birth of that, though. It's like, pandemic as a performer has changed everybody, let alone you also had a baby.
Right.
Like, I never thought I would do a podcast in a million years. Like, I make fun of people doing podcasts. I'm like, everybody does a podcast. Blah.
Right.
And I feel like a dick now because I'm like, oh no, I guess this is actually the natural progression of life as a performer.
Yeah.
Because at some point, literally, I mean, I'm not that old, but it's like going on stage every night, like staying out until 1 a.m., like, it's actually exhausting.
It is exhausting.
The idea of you coming over.
It's more exhausting in many ways than being a parent.
It's tiring.
Yeah.
And your body's rhythm is off. And it's like, this is cush.
Right.
We're sitting in a house having a seltzer friggin', it's 2 o'clock on a Sunday.
Exactly.
Like, and then it's going to be 1 hour, I'm done, I go home.
Exactly.
And it's like, it makes sense that, like, especially as you get older as a performer, you find ways to do it where you can still be a performer, but not physically break yourself down.
Right. And I think that one of the reasons I went up so much, I'm like, I think I'm realizing now, I hate it when people throw around OCD, like loosey-goosey.
Oh, yeah.
But like after I had the baby, I had all these intrusive thoughts, and I realized that like rituals are really important to me, and if I don't do certain rituals, then I'm convinced the baby's gonna die.
Ooh, yeah,
and
that's OCD.
I've
right?
never been diagnosed.
Right.
I think if I really had it bad, it would be debilitating.
But that's like an OCD symptom.
It is an OCD symptom.
If you're like,
yeah.
it's like it's a repeat narrative, and then there's like an end thing that will happen. Like people who knock on the door like 5 times, like if I don't do that, everything's gonna burn down.
Exactly. Like whenever I say something, I know it's just superstition, but it's like a really severe superstition where if I don't knock on wood, if I say like, oh, he's been sleeping through the night, or something more like knock on wood, or, you know, oh, he's been, but actually he kind of hasn't, but oh, he's, you know, he hasn't been sick in 2 weeks, I have to knock on wood. And if I don't, my mind's like, and also like if I say,
I have to knock on wood too sometimes.
And so it's not quite OCD, but there's other rituals too that like are more like.
Well, the first thing you said sounded like diagnosed like OCD. Like,
yeah,
if I don't do this, my child will die.
I think that I also, when I wasn't sleeping and had like all the postpartum hormones going, I think I had like 8 mental disorders at once. I was like, oh, it was bad. It was so bad. The first few weeks were absolutely
like
hell.
your whole body chemistry changes.
Yeah, and not sleeping, man, it will really fuck you up.
I know, dude. I know, as someone who has hardly slept for the last 3 years.
It fucks you up.
You know, I gave up caffeine a few weeks back, and I sleep like a baby now, and I really think, like, this podcast, so much of my business, a lot of it has been born of me sleeping.
Yeah.
Like, I'm writing in a way that I haven't written in years.
It's totally, it has a vast, like, effect on your mental health.
Well, I feel like caffeine's been like a lie that I've been sold my whole life. What happened
I
was
love
I was
caffeine.
not a regular coffee drinker my whole life, and then like my mid-20s, I sort of blame Kristen because she's like an everyday coffee drinker. So like I became an everyday coffee drinker, and now that I'm not having it every day, I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't need it every day.
Right.
Like I'm already so stimulated all the time anyway as a person.
Right.
And I'm just way more productive, and because I sleep.
Right.
Giving up the caffeine allowed me to sleep, and
Right.
now I'm like.
I know. For me, it's a drug. So when I couldn't have other drugs when I was pregnant, and I love drugs,
Yeah.
and when I couldn't have other drugs, because I definitely think of like all the things that usually get not called drugs are drugs.
You can't even smoke weed when you're pregnant.
No.
Like you can't do
and
anything.
that was like my way. So like weed was the way that I quit drinking and smoking cigarettes, and I'm drinking again, but not as much as I used to. You remember the way I used to drink. The way I used to drink, it's like I act like I'm sober. I'm just like back in the day when I was a drinker, people were like, you're drinking right now. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. Like I can have a glass of wine now. Whenever people would say they would have a glass of wine, I was like, why would you do that?
Just one.
Yeah.
I sort of agree with that. Like,
well, see, now I realize that I actually do like the taste.
Yeah.
And I can change out a mocktail for a glass of wine if it's a good mocktail.
Good mocktail.
Like, because a good drink hurts a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it should taste good, but it also should, like, burn a little bit, whether it has alcohol or not.
Yeah.
And, like, bad mocktails are just garbage,
They're
sweet
bad. They're
stuff.
just sweet, sugary drinks.
Exactly.
They're like for children.
But, like, it's interchangeable for me. A good mocktail or a glass of wine, like, both have the effect. And I think it is because I used to be a drinker, so, like, it makes me feel like I'm drinking.
Yeah.
But also, I just like that. I like a drink to hurt a little bit. That's why I like coffee. And it's, like, why I like cigarettes.
Coffee is so bizarre because I'm like, who just likes the taste of coffee?
I know. I have to put so much oat milk and sugar in it.
People claim me all the time, oh, I just love the way it tastes. I'm like, I think you like the feeling it gives you.
I like the smell of it, though.
The smell, if it tasted like it smelled, we'd be having a different conversation.
Right.
But it does not. It tastes bitter and nasty.
But people, man, it's the same way with cigarettes. Like, people love the taste of cigarettes, and cigarettes objectively taste like
garbage
asshole. Yeah, they're awful.
Yeah, but you suck them down.
But you love them.
All right, let's get back on track. I feel like, what was the track?
I don't know. I forgot.
We lost the track. Probably talking about comedy.
Oh, drugs.
You don't go, well, it started with you not going up as much.
Oh, yeah, so I don't go up as much, and I forgot. We were talking about...
Well, you're still a comedian.
Oh, yeah,
you
no,
felt
we're
like
talking
a poser because I introduced you as a stand-up.
Oh, yeah, so I am one of those people I used to hate. I used to hate people who were like, I'm a comedian, and they only went up once a month, and that's literally who I am now. Yeah. But there was a period when, and I have a feeling that the new COVID variant's going to get bad, and comedy's going to... A lot of the reason I didn't go up for a long time was because I was scared of giving Oscar COVID.
Right.
And then once numbers went down again, I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing comedy again, and I just got a booster, so I was like... And he goes to daycare every day, so it's kind of like...
exposed.
But like when numbers are really, really high, I'm terrified of like getting COVID and giving it to him. But also Oscar is my 8-month-old baby, so...
Oscar's the baby.
Oscar's the baby.
I feel like
Yeah, you could gather that.
Yeah. So now you're going back up, but not really.
Yeah, and
you're
now
not doing mics, and so you feel illegitimate, but you're not. You're not.
If I could get to like 1 mic a week and shows when I got booked on them.
If you could only do 1 mic a week, what mic would it be?
Probably 12 Mile.
That's the one I like. So 12 Mile on Monday nights is Bear With Me open mic. If you're a budding comedian, it's the most well run. Mm-hmm. The venue I think is really serves open mics. Like sometimes you go to a bar and like it's too public, like especially like I don't know, like hi-ho and stuff. Like when people can just walk in off the street like screaming their heads off, like people going to 12 Mile have to be going to 12 Mile.
You want it to be a deliberate audience.
Yeah, you want someone to like walk in there because they know it's the open mic night. And I think that'll
not what is it, an ambush show?
Yeah. That's so awkward, but it's just got the best vibe, I think. And they run people that run it.
Yeah, Laura Sanders and
Lauren Malera.
Yeah. They're awesome. But also, selfishly, I just like a bar where I can have like a good cocktail. And most bars in New Orleans, you really... Because I don't... Like I was saying, I don't drink as much. So I get like my one drink and I want it to be good.
And they make good drinks.
They make really good drinks and they're not that expensive.
I met Kristen at 12 Mile, my partner, who I'm now engaged to.
That's where we went after our wedding.
Oh.
Yeah.
My Kristen is still saved in my phone as Kristen 12 Mile.
Oh, that's so funny.
To this day, yes.
But my other mic that I really like is Carrollton Station. The only thing is, though...
Isn't that mic extremely bro-y?
I think people say that. I like it, though. But I like all the comedy bros. They're my friends.
You're into the comedy bro scene.
Yeah, I like the comedy bro scene.
So the only reason I say it's bro-y is because, number one, it has a reputation for being kind of bro-y. Mm-hmm. And number two, as being a woman trying to break into stand-up, it is... The bar for entry already feels so high for some reason.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I've grown up with male stand-ups. I just have, you know? And so when I would go to a show and like the first 5 people would be dudes, I'd be like, well, I don't fucking belong here.
Yeah.
And I know that's not true.
I think I know. Yeah, no, I know the feeling.
But
I
it's
think
like that feeling where you're like, oh, I'm the girl. I'm the girl.
I'm the
now.
girl, right? I think that there's like a sick part of me that doesn't mind being the only girl because it makes you feel special.
The sick part of me.
Yeah, because it is like that, like you know. I think
they have a name for this on TikTok. It's like main character.
Right, exactly. Some like it's also like one of those desires to be like one of the guys, but I'm definitely not one of the guys. I mean, I feel like I definitely
have a baby.
Yeah, and I also have a reputation for like hating men. I mean, I do hate men.
You know, I married one of my very good friends on Friday, and I was like doing my notes for this wedding, and I was like, don't make too many, if any, men are trash
Men
jokes.
are trash jokes.
And I did still make men are trash jokes, and it was good. It got a good little pop.
Yeah.
It wasn't inappropriate. The bride's mom was like right in front of me, and they're very like proper people from North Carolina. They're very kind, but I was like, as soon as I said it, I was like, is she gonna crack a smile? And she did, and I was like,
that's good.
That's
okay,
good. As long as the
keep it light.
Yeah, as long as the bride's mother thought the joke was in good taste.
It's so well known that I feel like it's like. I feel like also like I was just thinking about this, how I do hackier jokes now about how like my husband's stupid and I hate sex, and I used to like really hate like sitcom-y humor like that, but like I feel like a lot of men are trash jokes are from like very traditional women who are like, yeah, my useless stupid husband, I hate him, he's a piece of shit. And then there's like feminist women that are like, I would never date a man in my life, you know. And then, you know, there's like obviously a vast middle ground, but I think that everyone can relate to it no matter which side you're on. But but what I was gonna say is like Cassidy and Mickey, the guys who run Carrollton, are like total sweetie pies. I mean, Cassidy's like grouchy,
right?
And the way he runs the mic, but he's.
I will say all of my intel is hearsay. I've never done the Carrollton mic.
Oh, okay.
I heard it was broy, and I was like, I'll just go to.
It's
12
because
mile.
it's the oldest mic, and there used to pretty much only be dudes.
Yeah,
I think that's
why.
That's why.
Yeah.
But now I don't think it's necessarily broier than any other mic that's run by men.
Okay. Well,
like, and the vibe of the host is like they're very pissy about the rules, and I feel comfortable with Cassidy hearing this. He's extremely pissy about like, you don't sign your friends up, you sign up, and then we do the list. And
I would
blah,
be
blah,
the same way though.
Yeah,
kind of.
But most of the people he ends up bitching out are guys. Like most of the people that end up getting his wrath are bros.
Love that.
Yeah. So I would say like Cassidy definitely, I don't think is misogynist bro, but that mic might attract more misogynist bros.
So
also, it's close to colleges.
I think that might also be the other thing in the back of my brain. It's like that's that young crowd that's just drunk and rowdy.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I'm just like, can I even handle that crowd?
But
stand up?
But the fact that it's broy is good because it's good to test out material there that like at 12 Mile you might have a little bit of a clapter audience where, you know, like clapter is like people are laughing because they agree with you rather than because it's funny.
Clapture, I've never heard this.
I heard it for a while. People talked about it with Nanette, and like you and I had different feelings on Nanette, but to be honest, I was super hammered when I watched it and I do not remember it at all, so I would have to watch it again to actually have an opinion. And I'm also way less mean about comedy now.
Yeah.
So I think
Nanette was by, what was her name?
Hannah Gadsby.
Yeah.
Or
was she from New Zealand? One of those.
She's I have no idea. I was about to try to do the accent, but it would have been horrible. So
I think she's a Kiwi, which means she's from New Zealand, but I could also be wrong. It doesn't matter also.
Yeah, she has the voice.
All right, wait, let's get on track with like narrow down what we're talking about for a second. If someone is trying to start doing stand up in the city, I would like to like narrow it down even further and say women, because we're women and we have to represent every woman. What's your number one tip?
I don't really like advice because I feel like you have to do it on your own. You know what I mean?
It's so true.
You just have to do it on your own. So like if it works for you to go to one mic a week or one mic a month, and like if that's how you grow as a performer and you're just like pretty good, and like if you do better writing and not performing, every other comic would say it also depends what you want. If you want to be famous,
you have to go all the time.
Yeah, you have to do it all the time.
If
you want to be famous, you have to live, eat, and breathe it.
You have to leave New Orleans.
Yeah, and then eventually leave New Orleans. Yeah. You should cut your teeth in a city like New Orleans and then you should move.
Yeah.
But like if you are doing it just for the sake of like in between hobby and like, you know, in between hobby and career, because like it's still something that like it is a hobby, but I also do care about my growth. I guess you can care about your growth within something
absolutely.
as a hobby.
I mean, what's the point of doing something if you just plan on staying the like same level of?
Yeah, if you care about your growth at all, but like don't care about being famous and kind of plan on keeping another day job, then just fucking do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And don't listen to anyone else. And also the number one piece of advice that I do have is don't let anyone say that someone is a comedian and someone else isn't a comedian, because whether you go to open mics every single night or one night a month, like, you're doing comedy, you're a comedian. It doesn't mean you're a good comedian. There's some famous comedians that I don't think are funny at all.
Good. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but they're obvious. Like, Dave Chappelle's a comedian. I don't think he's been funny recently.
It's been a while.
And it's because he's like rich and boring.
That's what I'm saying. You literally, at some level, like, remember when Ellen did that special recently? And
yeah,
it was, like,
and it
all
sucked ass. It was so awful.
And it's like, this is not human.
Dude,
like,
Alana Glazer's special was one of the worst specials I've seen in my entire life.
That was the worst comedic special I've ever seen in my whole life.
It was hands down the worst one.
She's not a stand-up.
I get mad when I see her on Sesame Street now. I'm like, you stupid bitch.
She is on Sesame Street. Alana Glazer is from Broad City, for those who don't know.
Miss Noodle is funnier than what her special.
Truly. She plays Miss Noodle on Sesame Street now, which I do like her on Sesame Street. I'm not going to lie. And I loved Broad City.
I loved Broad City, too.
But she's a sketch actor. She's a comedian for for stage or for film or TV. And she's not a stand-up. It's so obvious she's never worked a room.
That special made my blood boil.
It was so obvious she's never worked that material in front of an audience.
Right.
It was obvious that she was handed a bunch of money and they were like, hey, you get to do a special. And she's like, all right, I guess I'll try this wacky thing.
That still pisses me off.
And it was bad. It was quite literally one of the worst things I've ever seen. And it's heartbreaking because I think she's very talented.
Yeah, she is. And like, also, another thing I was thinking about that I've been wanting to tweet about but haven't, because I don't know. I think about how Broad City and Amy Schumer and all these like comedians, all these women comedians used to be they really were edgy, and now like being a lady that smokes weed or being a lady who talks about fucking is like not edgy.
It's not, yeah.
And it's like considered kind of boring and like fake edgy or like hack at this point, but it really was in like 2013 or 2014.
It literally was.
It was so edgy, and it really was like, it was hugely influential for me and made me want to do stand up. So I hate it when people totally shit on it categorically, because I'm like, no, it had its place. Like comedy has a like short shelf life.
Still has its place.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's certainly not going to be the way it was back then.
Because they changed it.
And also, it's been done.
Right, exactly. And
It's
once something's done, it's not funny anymore. It just like evaporates.
And you know what the punchline is. That's why, like, whenever somebody at Thanksgiving makes the "you're going to have to roll me out of here" joke, I'm like, am I supposed to laugh?
Right.
This has been said 400 million times in the time of the world.
I know.
We have to take a break for an ad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to take a break for an ad, and we'll be right back. This week's episode of Planet NOLA is brought to you by Vitality Community Fitness, a group training facility located in Metairie, Louisiana. Vitality prioritizes their members with accessible workouts for anybody. Any gender, any size, any ability. I'm a little biased because I do co-own this business, and I gotta say we've got one of the best communities around, really great coaches, really good vibes. So if you're interested in trying out our gym, go to our website, vitalitycommunityfitness.com, click the contact form, and you get 3 free classes in a week. So come check us out. And we're back from that ad. If you've noticed, the ad is for a business that I co-own with my partner. If you'd like to be a sponsor on this show, you could. So just hit us up. Let us know. We are looking for sponsors that aren't just businesses that I own. Okay, we're getting back into this with Mary-Devon. Mary-Devon is a comedian. We're talking about the New Orleans comedy scene and comedy in general. During our break, we talked about how Mary-Devon's fucked half the city. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that is a thing that happens though. Like you run into all your exes. Also.
And I think that's specific to New Orleans.
in any sphere. I'll be in a coffee shop and there'll be 3 people I dated in the coffee shop.
But New Orleans is just smaller, and it's also like New Orleans is geographically small, and then the way people are very social, and there aren't like, if you're in certain scenes, there's like a few different scenes that overlap a lot. And so I feel like there's a lot of people that aren't comedians that are always at comedy shows.
Yeah, totally.
And I definitely, I'll say dated.
Yeah, it's a nice way to say it.
It's nice. No, I didn't. I slept with
with them.
Slept with some people.
1 or 2, maybe.
But yeah, it's like funny that I'll be like, oh, I don't know anyone in the show. And then I had lunch with Deja the other day, and she was like, oh yeah, this guy was in the audience with my friend who he's dating now, and you were on stage. I did not have a good set that night, so that's an extra layer.
Yikes.
Yeah, and I was thinking about how embarrassing that is. but I had a bad set, and then apparently he mentioned to his date that he had slept with me, and they got in a big fight, and now I know that. It's just like a weird... Yeah, and
what
I don't know.
What kind of person?
I know, and also
on a date,
and I would be so pissed if someone I was with was like, "Oh yeah, I had sex with that lady on stage," and also like
what a bad feeling.
I know.
This is once again men are trash.
And then I wasn't even having a good set, so that poor woman probably had so much going through her mind, like she's not even funny. I don't know. And also, I don't think that me and that person ended well. So there's like many layers to.
Yeah, it just sucks that like anywhere you could go on any given day here, you're gonna run into a situation where your brain starts spinning and you're like, oh, that didn't end well.
Right. And like it's such a small
I'm not
city.
gonna name drop, but I hooked up with someone that you know, and I know you know what I'm talking about. And this fucking dude, he was actually probably one of the last guys I had a casual hookup with, and I was just like, he tried to ghost me.
He ran out of the room.
He tried to ghost me, and I was like, you can't ghost me. First of all, I don't care. The day before he tried to ghost me, I was like, hey, I am not looking for anything serious, and I'm enjoying what's happening. I just want to check in with you. And he was like, yeah, me too. It's real chill. And I was like, great. And then he immediately began to try to ghost me, and I was like, you can't ghost anyone.
But didn't he like physically run out of a bar?
Oh my god, he literally ran out of a bar.
That's so funny.
It was hysterically funny.
What did you think you were gonna do? Be like, date me,
be my boyfriend.
Be my boyfriend.
God, it just like it felt like it wasn't even a bullet for me to dodge. But I did somehow, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even think it was coming for me. And then suddenly I was like, well, thank God wasn't a thing.
That happens to me all the time where, like, people don't say hello to you. And it's like...
It's New Orleans. It's everyone. I remember you.
Yeah. It's honestly, like, so evil. Just, like... Because... It's insulting. I think about this a lot when, like, I see someone that I've slept with and then they totally ignore me. I really prefer... There's a guy that lives in my neighborhood who does the opposite. Like, right after we had, like, our thing had ended, I started dating Jeff, and he lived in our neighborhood, and he's kind of an airhead, and he would be jogging, and like, if we were having a party, he would be like, can I come to the party? And Jeff was like, I guess, sure. That's fine. I mean, like, Jeff's not a jealous guy. He just thought it was so funny because he was just
be
like
jogging by the house.
Yeah, he would be jogging by the house, and he would just like stop by and say hello or like come join a party that was already happening. And I prefer that. I'm just like, yeah, we slept together and we never seriously dated.
Yeah, it's like a casual acquaintance.
But also, we are acquaintances, and like I didn't do any. It's like you're treating me like I did something wrong by sleeping with you.
Yeah,
that's that whole thing.
It's just this like emotional immaturity thing that is like blanketed across the.
And it's really, when you think about it, it's pretty evil because it's always pretty much men doing it to women.
Always.
And it's like they're basically like, oh, I'm assuming it's like,
now that I'm not sleeping with you, you are of no value to me, and therefore I have to like ignore you.
Yeah,
like there's no purpose in this interaction because I'm not sleeping with you.
Right,
that's the
exactly.
Undertone. That's the
right.
undertone.
It's like we were never friends at all.
Speaking of premarital sex, I really want to talk about the fact that we're both from New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't grow up together, which we're about the same age, so the odds are pretty high.
We both went to Catholic school.
Yeah, we both went to Catholic school, but the odds are high that we would have run into each other at some point going to Catholic school in New Orleans, being about the same age. But
we didn't run into each other until college.
Yeah, no,
I remember you, I think, before you remember me.
Absolutely. When do you remember me?
At the Neutral Ground.
You remember me at the Neutral Ground?
I met you at the Neutral Ground when I was a freshman in college.
Neutral Ground Coffee Shop, Uptown.
Yeah, I met you at the Neutral Ground when I was a freshman in college, and so when I went to LSU, I became friends with Deja, who was like royalty. She was so cool.
The queen of the Neutral Ground.
The queen of the Neutral Ground.
Her and Melody Keel.
Yeah, her and Melody. And so Melody's a Vitality member.
Yeah, Vitality member. That's our sponsor for the day.
Melody's so funny, but one of the funniest people ever. But anyway, so is Deja. So Deja and I became friends in college, and then she took me to the Neutral Ground. So I met a bunch of people from New Orleans that I didn't know in high school.
And you met me there.
I met you there, but you don't remember me.
I was a senior in high school.
You were hanging out with...
I would have been a senior in high school if you were a freshman in college.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that I
went there so much as a senior in high school.
Yeah.
I would beg my dad. I'd be like, please, can you bring me to the Neutral Ground? But it's like all the way in the Broadmoor, and I live in Gentilly.
Yeah.
He'd be like, all right. And then he has to pick me up at like 11 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like, that was so rude of me. But he did it. My dad did it, to his credit.
Yeah.
He brought me out there.
I kind of was sad when we outgrew the Neutral Ground because I caught it right on the end. Like, because freshman year of college, we were kind of old for it.
Yeah, it was definitely the high school jaunt and then the weird old man haunt.
Yeah. The first time I went to the neutral ground was in high school when, this is a cute story. I cannot believe my mom did this, but when I was in high school, I did my service hours at this place called Camp Summer Tribe. Mm-hmm. And do you know Shelby Gross?
Sounds familiar.
He was like a neutral ground guy. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I started dating him there where we were both camp counselors for like at this camp for kids with special needs or whatever. But then another guy took a liking to me, and he was 2 years older than me and went to Jesuit, and he got my house number. I don't know how.
Oh my God.
Called my house and asked my mom where I was, and then they found out where I was, and they went to the neutral ground because I was like there with a friend, and then they kidnapped me, quote unquote. I mean, I wanted to go with them, and they brought me to a party, and like I could not believe my mom told this random guy my whereabouts, but I ended up dating him for years.
Oh my God.
Michael Mims.
And that was the first time you were at the neutral ground?
That was the first time I was at the neutral ground.
Wait, do you have any memories of me specifically? We gotta talk about me real quick. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I have memories of you. All I remember is like I remember thinking you were cool. You were hanging out with like who you were hanging out with.
My goal is to always have people think I'm cool because I really am a giant nerd. Like my brain is thinking 40 steps ahead. I remember a lot of embarrassing details. Like I really read into things too much. So I'm secretly just very nerdy.
I was not cool. I was super quiet and like really nerdy and very afraid of like everyone because I thought everyone was way cooler than me. But I can't think of who you were with. Name some people that you hung out with a lot in high school.
Oh my God. I was with Alex Talbot. That's who I was dating at that time.
I think maybe that's who it was. Okay.
It could have been any of those Jesuit boys. So I went to Cabrini. I hung out with a lot of Jesuit boys. You went to Sacred Heart? No, Ursuline.
I went to Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart. Mm-hmm. Who'd you hang out with?
So I didn't have a lot of friends in high school.
What did you do in high school?
I hung out with people from other schools, and let's see. So high school got interrupted by Katrina when I was a junior, and so half of high school was very much like. Once Katrina happened, high school was very much waiting to see my boyfriend, Michael Mims, because he was in college at LSU, and it was...
Wait, would you say, this is like unfair and to interrupt you about this, because this is a good story, but this is the thing I've been thinking about a lot. It's like, would you say that in being someone who dated boys in high school, like that consumed way too much of your mental...
Oh my God, 100%.
I feel like I would be so much more creative and along in my like growth and development as a human if I just didn't worry about male affection until ever. I wish I just didn't seek it ever.
I think going to an all-girls school...
It was such a bubble.
Such a bubble. And then also, but it was really any romantic... Like, I had like a little relationship with a girl in my class also.
Oh my God. Okay, Sacred Heart.
But, I mean, she like completely would not agree that that's what happened. She like hates me. Anyway,
oh my God.
It's like a very weird thing. I contacted her a few years ago on Facebook, and we're catching up pretty normally. And then I was like, "Do you ever think about what happened?" She was like, "What do you mean?" And like I couldn't get her to like. Anyway, it was weird. Ooh. But anyway, so I like even then I was just so consumed. I think that the boy thing was extra bad because all girls Catholic schools make boys way too interesting.
Yeah.
But I also was weird.
That is so true. This is exactly what I want to talk about. It's not. It's a bubble. It's like growing up watching princess movies is one thing.
Right.
But going through puberty in an environment where you're just surrounded by girls and you think you're supposed to be dating a man or marrying a man or being with a man is like there is so much pressure.
It's so toxic too.
It's so toxic.
And it just proves that like a lot of, men are trash, but like the whole narrative of like men are one way and girls are another way. It's so environmental. Like I see it because now I work at a high school and I am around a co-ed environment at a public school. And so I see how like boys and girls, sometimes they kind of still sit at different tables and stuff. But like there are boys that always sit with the girls and, and everyone's queer now. So some of them are,
they're all queer.
It's great. It's great.
It. I
love it too. Everyone's super queer and they're still jocks, but like, it's not like they're still jocks and the jocks still bully people, but I don't think they specifically bully them for being queer.
Yeah.
Like there are queer kids who are cool and queer kids who aren't, but like the queerness does not seem to
be a bullying factor. Jocks are just insecure.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really about them.
And I'm sure that there are kids who still I'm painting a really rosy picture.
I mean, I am too. I just said jocks are insecure. I mean, obviously we're painting a very broad stroke.
We are. Yes, but like, and there actually have been like really nasty incidences.
So you work at a co-ed public school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's totally opposite of our experience.
Yeah. And I mean, the only thing that's not opposite is that it's not as like diverse as it doesn't really reflect the demographics of New Orleans. It's like a pretty
which
white.
None of our schools did.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Actually, Cabrini is pretty split now.
yeah.
And it was at the time like decently split, but like I taught at Mount Carmel. That is just
White. Yeah.
White is white. And they have big classes, like 500 girls in a class.
And there's like 3 black girls.
Yeah, and like we had 120 at Cabrini, and that was the biggest graduating class they ever had my year. And it was probably like 40% people of color, because we also had a big Vietnamese community because we're closer to the east than most schools.
Right. Yeah, Cabrini. I mean, I don't know if this is racist, but they had a really good basketball team, and that's rarely an all-white school thing. Like probably. Sacred Heart and McGee are all white, and our basketball teams were fucking garbage. And bad. Cabrini actually beat us 93-8, and one girl opened up the court for me and was like, "Here, just take a layup." She was like, just try it. Just, you need it. Like, she even gave me a pep talk in the bathroom.
You were a jock? You played basketball?
I was not a jock. I was a theater kid, but I played basketball too. I don't remember if my mom made me or what it was. I don't know. But my mom liked me in extracurricular activities. She was like, just keep doing stuff.
She's trying to keep you busy.
Trying to make friends. You're a weirdo.
She's like, eventually someone will talk to her.
Yeah. I mean, I had friends. It was weird. By the end of high school, I feel like I had carved out my little niche, which was like Mary-Devon. I had this like mystery about me where everyone thought I was a good student, but I actually was like a straight C student. And I got like A's in like humanities and stuff. But like I seemed smart and I seemed cool because at that point I hung out with a lot of college kids because my boyfriend was in college and no one knew that they were like huge losers. Like the people I hung out with at LSU were like the biggest dorks I've ever met in my life.
That's so funny, but you had a college boyfriend.
But I had a college boyfriend that would pick me up in his Suburban, his like 1994 Suburban, funny. Which is the coolest thing in the world when you go to an all-girls school.
There's so much weird political stuff that happens when you're a teenager. Like that's what I'm saying. Like the social climbing you get from having a boyfriend, especially at a Catholic all-girls school. It's a thing. It's legitimately a thing. Yeah.
I remember this girl I thought was really cool when Michael was picking me up once. She was like, that's a hot car. And it was literally a like 1994 Suburban. It was his dad's old car. But it was just, I mean.
Would you send Oscar to an all-boys school?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't send my child to an.
I don't think I would even send him to a private school unless like. If, you know,
I low-key wish that I could afford to send my children to Newman.
I love Newman. I want to send him there to the daycare.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's beautiful. Oh my God, Green Trees, they're, you know,
so I was a newborn nanny for many years, and so a lot of the families that I cared for, their babies go to Green Trees. Oh. And I'm even taking care of an old family I used to have.
It's fucking amazing.
And I get to bring the kids to Green Trees every day, and I just love it.
We would send Oscar there. My dad went to Newman.
So you would send your kid to Newman, but not any of the other ones. I can't imagine sending my kid to any Catholic school.
I would want to send him to public school for school, but since we have to pay for daycare regardless, and Green Trees ends up being like $5-6 extra grand a year, I would 100% send him there. Yeah. Because like it's so important. I mean, I'm just worried about his safety at this point.
Yeah, and they do a really good job.
They do a really good job.
So you wouldn't send your kid to a Catholic all boys school though?
No.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not
super toxic. I think
it's so toxic. I'm not. You couldn't pay me to send my kid to Cabrini, and honestly, I did well. I mean, I went to college on a full ride. Now, here's the really messed up thing. I was thinking about this last night. It sounds like a brag when I'm like, oh, I went on a full ride. I went to Cabrini University, which is like the sister school of Cabrini High School, right? Same order of nuns started these schools. And Cabrini University every year would offer one Cabrini High School student a full ride. Mm-hmm. Okay, so in my brain, I'm like, obviously, I want to apply for a full ride. I don't want to be in any debt. I knew I was going to be a broke kid my whole life. You know, like I just knew. And I think I was one of 2 people that applied for that scholarship.
God damn.
Because no one wanted to leave New Orleans. Or the South. Most of my graduating class went to like LSU.
Where'd you go to college?
Cabrini University.
Oh, but where
it's in Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
It's far.
Yeah.
And like in my graduating class, like almost no one left the Gulf South. And the only people that left the Gulf South were people from my lunch table. My friend Rachel didn't go to college. She went to New York to try to be an actor.
Man, that was so opposite at Sacred Heart. I felt like such
they
a
all
loser.
Went everywhere.
Yeah, I felt like
Cabrini was like, everyone was like frozen.
Man.
And it's like, it's nuts to me that I had no competition for the scholarship because I was like, it's free, but they just didn't want to leave. Your people left New Orleans.
Yeah, and I actually I still sort of regret, and you know what, I really don't regret it, but part of me still regrets not going far at all, not leaving Louisiana, because I wanted to be with my boyfriend, and my boyfriend basically said, like, and I got, LSU was free, and
for
you went
to LSU.
I went to LSU.
Yeah.
And I loved LSU.
Let's say, how was it?
I loved it.
I did recently go to Baton Rouge, and it was a nightmare.
I mean, Baton Rouge sucks, but college isn't about where you are. You like do your little campus thing.
Yeah,
and you
it's
hang
so
out with
true.
people from your school. Yeah.
That's so true.
And like also you're so close to New Orleans that, and my family was like pretty chill. So before we could drink, we would go have parties at my house on the weekends and
nice.
and hang out. Like that's Deja and I would go in on the weekends. I didn't even have a card till I was 20. Or a license. And I don't think I had a car till I was 21. But anyway, so we would go in on the weekends and mostly hang out in New Orleans. But I actually liked staying in Baton Rouge because, like, if there were parties, I mean, party's a party. Doesn't really matter where you are.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't do college like that.
Yeah.
I didn't party. I didn't drink in college.
Oh, wow.
I left New Orleans. I drank as a teenager because you do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to school up in Philly, and I went to school with a bunch of Pennsylvania and Jersey kids, and none of them have drinking culture. So
Right.
they get to college.
We had some also pill culture. We did a lot of ecstasy in Baton Rouge.
Well, not in Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, these kids never drank, and then all of a sudden they're in college drinking. And I remember like my first semester of freshman year, and I was just like, oh my, like I was appalled by people just being hammered passed out. And because I grew up drinking and it was never like that. Like it was just like, oh, we drink together, but we never got blacked out when we were teenagers. We would just like have drinks. Like it was.
Oh, I did.
I don't know.
I think that's because I was a loser. I didn't have a group of friends to do it with. I would like get my hands on alcohol and be like blah 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 blah, and then I would like, man, I just would like panic. As soon as I got drunk, I was like, okay, the way to do this is as soon as you get it, then I always have had a scarcity problem where like,
oh, that's legit.
So like I haven't had a scarcity problem, but like I have a scarcity mindset where I'm just like accumulate as much booze as you can and put it all in your body.
I want to get a new therapist and I want to just go work on my scarcity mindset.
Yes.
Because it's a thing.
And God, when I was a drinker with a scarcity mindset, hurricanes were a fucking disaster.
That's so funny because I always
it was like I was starting a bar.
Yeah, I always credited like me being from here whenever I was up there to like why I was like, I can't drink with these people. Like I just wasn't surrounded with drinking in that way. But I mean, obviously now I am. But the older I've gotten, everyone around me is drunk all of the time.
I don't think I'm like a good New Orleanian in the fact that like
oh my God, you're a great New Orleanian.
Thank you, Mary. I just feel like there's a lot of aspects of it. Like I was a terrible drinker until college. Although I will say, I did my blacking out in high school.
That's crazy.
I did my blacking out in high school.
I was too busy, I think, to get that drunk in high school, really.
I was not a good student. So, like, I wasn't a good student. I was, like, really sad. My mom finally admitted recently that, like, she should have let me leave Sacred Heart, which was, like, extremely validating.
Did you not like it?
No, I hated it. And everyone hated me. And, like,
where would you have gone?
I wanted to go to Franklin if I had gotten into Franklin, but
didn't we all want to go to Franklin? I wanted to go to Franklin. Yeah, if you can get into Franklin.
Right.
Sometimes you would like look at Franklin kids growing up and you'd be like, how did you get into Franklin?
I know.
How did you get into Franklin?
Most of my like middle school and early high school boyfriends either went to Franklin or McMain or like the people that I knew were like Lusher kids.
Yeah, a lot of Lusher kids.
And then Franklin kids.
So you went to Lusher.
So no, I went to Sacred Heart the whole time, but I grew up around Lusher kids because of JCC Sock Hops.
I went to the JCC Sock Hops as well. That's how I know most of my friends.
And that's how I met boys. And also my neighborhood, I grew up in Broadmoor off Fontainebleau, and Sam Calvert went to Lusher. My mom was obsessed with him. She was like one of the few boys, because my parents were really overprotective, one of the few boys that my mom like really trusted and let me hang out with. So I hung out with.
Like a friend of yours?
Yeah, I hung out with him. I dated him. You know how middle school was. You were dating one day.
No, I don't. I skipped middle school.
Yeah.
I did not go to middle school.
What?
I genuinely didn't go to middle school.
Why?
Yeah, this is a freaky thing about me. I think it's who I am.
Oh,
I think I.
So you're like half homeschooled.
Yeah. So I went to Hines, and Hines ended at 6th grade.
Oh.
And then I went to Cabrini, and it started at 8th grade. So 7th grade, I was homeschooled. So I was the top of this. Like I wasn't ever really in middle school.
Well, for me, 5th and 6th is middle.
Yeah, but I was at my school. It was an elementary school until 6th grade.
Oh.
So I was really like the senior when I was in 6th grade at Hines, because that was when you were at the top. Wasn't really a middle school. It was called an elementary school.
Right.
And then 7th grade is middle school, in my opinion. And then 8th grade is also kind of middle school. And 9th grade is really where college begins. I mean, high school begins. College, 9th grade. But anyway, so I just think that like, because I was the top of the top at Hines, and then at Cabrini, it was just like I was a freshman baby. It wasn't like I was in middle school. I was in 8th grade. I was a pre-freshman.
Wow.
They even call you a pre-freshman at Cabrini.
8th grade. So
I skipped 7th grade. So I just didn't get bullied.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I'm like a monster, confident, weirdo freak. Because I think everyone's trauma comes from middle school.
I also think I wish astrology wasn't real, but I also think that
I'm real.
You're just such a Leo.
I'm a Leo. Yeah, it's true.
I'm a Leo sun sign. Or no, I'm a Leo moon sign.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So your internal life is Leo.
Yeah. Which makes sense. And then I'm a Scorpio sun sign. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Kristen's a Scorpio as well.
When's her birthday?
November 17th.
Oh, right. I'm November 1st.
Oh, okay. We're right by each other. Yeah, I'm Leo 3 times and Virgo.
Jesus.
Which checks out.
Yeah, that checks out. You are Leo 3 times.
Yeah, and
100%.
then the Virgo is my organized part, my get everything done thing.
Even the way you like enter a room, you use all of your limbs.
It's demented.
Yeah.
It is hard for me to be this much of a Leo.
Yeah.
I tell people this all the time. They're like, "Oh, I get it. You're a Leo." And I was like, "Listen, I didn't ask for this. It's a lot for me."
Right.
I saw a meme today that was like Leo's internal self. Like, what? I just want all the attention all the time.
Yeah.
Like, that is literally, there's not enough.
See, I
Imagine
also
dating me. Imagine trying to. Like, Kristen wants to marry me.
I know. I love that y'all are. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that y'all are engaged.
Thank you. But I just can't get. I'm like, there's not. I'm just going to be pestering you the rest of your life.
Yeah, but other people don't want all the attention, so they don't mind.
Yeah. She is like that. She very much does not want all the attention.
Yeah.
So it works out well for us.
That's similar to how me and Jeff are, except for part of him does want the attention, but he could never in his life ask for it the way I do.
Right.
Yeah. Like so, but he also, I think, is happy to let me, commandeer most conversations. I do feel bad though, because he gets like stepped on a lot when he does try to like say something, because people aren't used to him talking.
Okay, wait, let's get back to New Orleans. I want to say some more things, because I feel like you have an interesting take on, we were talking about like, I don't know, like, a lot of times, you were saying something that I kind of relate with, which is like, I don't really actually feel like a very good New Orleanian sometimes, because it's like, people, I think it's really like a transplant thing to like just like super romanticize this, like,
and be super into Mardi Gras, super into like costuming,
jazz.
Yeah,
like, I didn't go to
Jazz
Fest
Fest
until high school, and I was like,
yeah,
it was not a thing my family grew up doing, and now it's like, it's because it's always been like a cultural institution, but it's like not the experience of everyone, but the way it's treated is like this like universal citywide thing.
And also like, so my parents used to take me to Jazz Fest. Like my mom did the whole like take me out of school and take me on like the Thursday it started.
Damn, yeah, you had the thing.
Yeah, but then it's like, I feel like a lot of people, that's like their identity. Then my parents were like, no, we don't really like Jazz Fest anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that happens for a lot of stuff. Like my parents used to do Mardi Gras really hard.
Same. My family used to work Mardi Gras. And
yeah.
So I did all the West Bank parades. It was really random, but we had this thing on
West Bank parades are fun.
Well, I loved them.
Yeah.
And I mean, every year we did the West Bank parades, and then they just stopped one year, and I was like, well, I can't wait till I can take myself to parades. And as soon as I got in high school, that's what I did every year.
Right.
But it's like, it wasn't really that much a part of me growing up.
Yeah.
There were years where we just didn't even go to Mardi Gras.
The way that people who aren't from here, like, they find an identity, like you were saying, a cultural institution, and they're like, that is, and I'm obviously not everyone.
No, not everyone,
but like,
and not everything.
No.
But it does feel like it lacks a lot of nuance.
Right, exactly. And it's like, you can like Jazz Fest one year and then not go the next year, or you can like go to certain parades and not go to certain parades the next year and just feel out how you're feeling that day. It doesn't have to be like, it feels like what people are into in New Orleans is part of their identity, and that intimidates me, because I'm like, I don't like that pressure.
I totally agree with you on this.
Yeah.
I remember a few years ago, I was like, I don't actually want to go to any parades anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to go uptown, like,
parades
ever.
are fucking hard. I'm so nervous about going with a baby.
Yeah, and it's like, I just don't want to do the uptown thing anymore. And so a few years ago, I just like only went, I marched in Chewbacca's, because everyone does, and I like watched Crew de Vue that year or something, and I was like, oh, this is it. That was my whole Mardi Gras.
When you find your little,
I do parties, like I do the balls and stuff, I go hard on the parties, and on Fat Tuesday I'll just like get
I've never been invited to Mom's Ball.
Oh, well,
isn't that embarrassing?
It's not embarrassing anymore. Mom's Ball kind of sucks now. It's like not the same.
But I never got invited, and I'm like,
sorry, buddy.
It's okay. It's just like,
it's not my fault. I just have been a lot though. Like I really have. I could have brought you.
I know, but that's the thing. I want to get my own invitation. You know what I mean?
It's really hard. I have to like scrape for mine every year. I stopped scraping and stopped going because it started to suck. What happened is this.
You have to scrape? Someone doesn't just like magically give you an invitation to Mom's Ball?
It is a whole like society.
Because I've heard from a lot of people who are not from here are like, yeah, I'm going to Mom's Ball. Have you ever heard of it? And I'm just like, fuck you. How have I never been invited to Mom's Ball? Like, I don't know. I guess, but I know a lot of people who are really into like what seems like that aspect of New Orleans culture, and they annoy me. So
yeah, me as well. Actually,
Yeah.
it's just like no one thing is all encompassing, and I do feel like everyone's like jazz, gumbo, Mardi Gras, festivals. Oh, we have a festival for shoelaces here, and I'm like, I actually won't go to that, and I don't want to, and I don't know, like
I know, but then when I see things like that on Instagram, I'm like, I want to go to Po' Boy Festival, and then I think the one year I went to Po' Boy Festival, I was like, well, once you eat one po' boy, that's kind of a wrap for the day.
Exactly.
I don't want to eat 20 po' boys.
Exactly. And it's so, I remember like I used to go to White Linen Night all the time, even though it's like bougie.
God, White Linen Nights suck shit.
It's so bougie.
I used to go with my parents and bring friends, and it was fun because,
you just make
you
fun
do
of
it, but it was
and
so fucking hot and so miserable and so sweaty, and you don't have a purse. I just remember just being in like a crocheted dress that had sweat marks on it with a bunch of like racist sorority girls.
That's
like, what the fuck am I doing?
The vibe is very fraternity sorority.
Yeah.
Like, parents' money. Like the last time I went, it was like, I don't even know how I got convinced to go, but it was just people packed in shoulder to shoulder, and I was like, this is not fun. This is not fun for even a fun.
So many experiences in New Orleans were me just going and being like, well, I'm not dressed right, and just feeling self-conscious about my body. For like, whether it was Mardi Gras, like Mardi Gras where I was like, I'm not slutty enough, or Mardi Gras where I was like, I'm nude, and this is not a nude Mardi Gras party. Mardi Gras is so hard because sometimes you go to a Mardi Gras party and like Mardi Gras is known for nudity, but then you're like, I'm gonna have oh man, I did tits out Mardi Gras.
I remember
2020.
I ran into you.
I hated it, and now I hate my tits so much. I'm like, I should have kept them covered while I could. I am so sick of my tits being out all the time because I'm always pumping or breastfeeding, and I didn't even like my tits before I was doing that. And anyway, tits out Mardi Gras was a bust.
Well, tits out Mardi Gras is kind of where we have to end this podcast because you've run out of time.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Can you believe it was just a wall of text of you and I talking?
I know. That's crazy.
I know. We can talk forever. I'm really sorry to anyone that thinks that we're crazy, but this is just what we talk about.
Yeah. I guess we did okay.
I think we did okay. Did we do okay, Carrie? Carrie's the producer. She's behind the camera. She gave us 2 thumbs up, so I feel good about it. Yeah.
And is this is recorded?
Oh, I have to ask you. Yeah, it's recorded, and it's all recorded. So it'll be on YouTube, and it'll be on all the podcast platforms is the plan.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I asked everybody the same question at the end, all 2 of you, since you're the second guest ever. I like to pull people on here. They're like just doing, I don't care what it is, just like something interesting. Maybe somebody that would like literally never otherwise be on like a media outlet in New Orleans. They're not going to be on like where you at or whatever.
Right.
Like I want to have a conversation with them. Who would you suggest I should put on this podcast?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay, let me think. I'm trying to think of who I like really like to talk to.
Maybe another comedian.
Yeah. I guess Laura Sanders.
That's what I knew you were going to say. Yeah. I was just waiting for you to say it. I was like,
she's really good at talking and staying on topic.
Is, yeah. She and I have good banter as well.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is that I just like, I don't want it to be an interview. I just like want to talk to folks.
Yeah.
Hear what people are doing, hear people's experiences. Like we could just have like a whole time of us talking about like growing up here. And it's like, that is what I want this to be about.
Right.
Because I think that, it's like you said, there's like this microscope on certain cultural institutions. And it's like, it's not necessarily all jazz bands and fucking jambalaya.
No.
So this is great. This is nice. Like,
I think Laura Sanders would be good, even though she's not from here, but she also is
I'm doing transplants as well.
She's very aware of not being. Yeah, she's like not someone that's like, Nola. Yeah.
Till I die.
Yeah.
But she's so stinking cute.
I know the lady that makes those stickers, by the way. She's a huge cunt.
Oh, well,
and she's also a transplant.
Not going to have her on here. That's for fucking sure. All right. Thank you so much, Mary-Devon. You've been the best. No surprise.
Thanks, Mary.
Okay, bye, y'all. If you liked this, please tell a friend. Send this to somebody. It's very brand new, and so the only way people are going to find out about it is if you guys talk about it, and if you like it, let me know. Leave a review. And yeah, I think that's everything. What's up? See you next time. Bye.